Hello, everyone. Welcome to Coffee Break. It's Steve Barrett, the editorial director of PR Week, and I am here with the inimitable John Harris, the CCO of Conagra Foods up there in Chicago. A force of nature, I think. John, that's what everyone thinks of you. How are you doing, my friend?
You are very, very kind, dear friend, and I will send you the check in the mail. I am doing well. We're safe and healthy, and really, really happy to be speaking with you today, my friend.
Now, tell us about your lockdown life. I've been seeing you on social doing these music sessions every Friday, strumming away like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But that doesn't look like the same room. You must have a fancy basement studio or something. Tell us about that, and tell us about how the last 7 months has been for you.
Well, you got it. Well, and it has been 217 days today, but who's counting?
Yeah. Are you scratching them on the wall
It's like I'm like Andy Dufresne. It is very funny. I am sitting right now. I'm not in my basement where I do the basement sessions. I'm in my 16-year-old's bedroom, which is also serving as my office. I'm so glad that I had the point to do this for 30 years, and I still work out of a 16-year-old's bedroom, which is very exciting for me.
You've made it.
Yeah, I've totally made it. And I'm somewhat cool in my own mind. And as usual, as it was when I was really 16, I'm completely left alone all day and no one will talk to me. I started these basement sessions, early on in March. I saw that Chris Martin and other professional musicians were putting out some songs and putting out some music to help folks heal, maybe take their minds off of what was going on and kind of alleviate some anxiety. And so I started doing it. And, I did a song here, a song there. We started getting quite a following on Facebook. Then I moved it to Instagram, and then somehow it kind of evolved to doing it every Friday. So this week will be the 25th session, and I do it in my basement. We call them the basement sessions. We get a couple of thousand views a week. We get such nice notes, Steve, from people all over the world, and some wild requests. This past week, I had everything from the leader of the band by Dan Fogelberg to John Waite's Change off the Vision Quest soundtrack. So people try to stump me a bit.
You're dating yourself here, mate. Well, it was the Kanye and the sort of hip hop.
Yeah, we have not done hip hop yet, but someone did request Belle Biv DeVoe's Poison. So I have to figure out. Remember, it's got to be an acoustic arrangement too, so it's not always the easiest. But you're right. I probably could start veering into some hip hop, but it's been a lot of fun. We're raising awareness. We dedicate it every week to the essential workers. We've got folks from some staffs from various hospitals, Mayo Clinic. We've got it from Northwestern here in Chicago, NYU, Sloan Kettering, Cedars-Sinai. So it really has become something that I really look forward to every week. And I'm glad that some folks seem to like it and are enjoying the music. So I'm going to keep doing it. As long as they keep coming back, I'm going to keep doing it.
That's right. That's all you can do. And nice of you to dedicate a song to me on Friday by Stevie Nicks, Landslide, one of my favorites. So thank you for that.
You got it.
Your version was good, but I still think Stevie's probably shading it. But she is a goddess, so
Listen, that is completely untouchable. When it comes to Stevie Nicks, she's in the class all by herself, and I'm just happy to have sung the song, and I'm glad you enjoyed it.
That was great. But tell us about that essential workers tip, because Conagra Foods is an essential service in its own right. Everybody's needed their food and they've been eating at home more. They've needed to get their food via the supermarkets and stores, and they're essential workers. But you've also been doing some great stuff by helping out people who've hit hard times.
Yes, thank you. Well, as of March 13th, the whole world is shut down, and we really our food and was needed more than ever, and our services were needed more than ever. And so we jumped into it with both feet and both hands and everything. And knowing that we were an essential business, we ramped up all of our production, ramped up all of our communications, and did everything we could as to while we were helping the nation and all the areas in which we serve and and feed. We were helping feed them, and we were also making sure that we were keeping the 15,000 employees who work in our plants each and every day, who make, move, and sell product, keeping them healthy. So it really was quite the balancing act. It still is, because we continue to see unprecedented demand, particularly going into this winter. But we are ready, and I'll tell you, Steve, I have never been more proud of the work that my team has done. I don't think we've ever been more effective, efficient, productive, punctual, um, uh, ever. And so I do miss working with them day to day, but I'm so pleased with what they're doing. And I've never been more proud of this organization to feed those and nourish those who are so desperately in need right now.
And you mentioned that some restaurant groups had also reached out to you because obviously that industry that you and I love, and you love the restaurant scene, and you're always getting on the piano if they've got one in the corner and starting to do a song. But there's a lot of people hurting in that industry, aren't there?
Oh, you are so right. And food service for us is only about 10% of our business. But the restaurant industry here in Chicago, I knew that COVID was really serious when I got a call from a top restaurateur here in Chicago on March 18th. So it was about 5 days after we had shut down our offices and started working remotely. And they called asking for canned food. And I thought, okay, sure. So tell me, which nonprofit would you like us to align with to donate this canned food? And he said, no, it's not for a nonprofit. It's for our employees. We're putting them on furlough indefinitely right now, and we need to make sure they have food. And that's when I knew, oh my goodness, this really is going to be quite a serious situation for everyone. And so we've really stepped up our efforts philanthropically. We have donated to last fiscal year, we donated 30 million pounds of food to Feeding America, which equates to about 25 million meals. And that really was done between March and May of last year. That's a 55% increase over the year before. And there's no signs of stopping. We continue to do everything we can to make sure we're feeding those who are in need. We're also making cash contributions, and thankfully volunteerism is a big part of what we do at Conagra, and that's making a comeback too. As long as folks are socially distant and being very smart about the way they go about volunteering, we're supporting that as well. But yeah, people are really in need right now, and 20% of restaurants in Chicago have closed their doors, never to return open again, and 86% of restaurants here in the city, this great restaurant city, will not make a profit in 2020. So it's really hard times.
It is hard, and it's the same in New York. And I think if anyone can help out and donate and maybe pay forward, that's all things that people are doing. And use, give good tips. And while there is still decent weather around, go and have dinner outside, because that's not going to be around for much longer. So yeah, absolutely good work there. Now, of course, the other thing that's happened during the summer is the whole racial reckoning around the incidents of racial injustice, the killing of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. In Chicago, how has that been, and what's the impact been on the city, and how has Conagra reacted as a company?
Well, it's been very tough on the city, Steve. These are very hard times, and I will say, as you know, you've known me for so many years now. There is no place for hate, intolerance, and racism in this world, and the city is having a very tough time, as is the nation. From a ConAgra standpoint, we're very active on making progress on the D&I front, but we're taking the time to do it right. And we know that these are long-term changes that are going to have a very positive impact on the company. So, as Billy Joel once said, you got to get it right the first time. That's the main thing. And so, for us, we have formed a diversity and inclusion leadership council that consists of our entire senior leadership team, myself included, as well as leaders throughout the whole organization. And we are focused on a few areas. It's recruitment, development, and advocacy. We're looking at, from a recruitment standpoint, we're looking at where we recruit people and ways in which we can bring a more diverse slate of candidates to ConAgra. We're also presently establishing diversity objectives for our workforce that we'll be rolling out in the next few months. On the development front, we've updated our mission, vision, values to reflect a renewed focus into D&I, something that companies, don't often do, but it really did just reinforce how important this is to our organization. And we're doing what a lot of companies are doing right now. We're holding employee cultural awareness seminars, where we've launched our own testimonial speaker series, where I will interview our board members, and I'll interview our employees to talk about race, gender, and other issues in a very open and safe environment. And I'll also say that our employee resource groups have really stepped up here, Steve, during this. And they continue to conduct ongoing listening and social sessions. And we continue to work with them very closely, directionally on our messaging and tactical efforts. Advocacy, you said it before, the last part, but never the least. We've always had a great supplier diversity initiative, and we've always made D&I a big part of our philanthropic efforts. And we've been stepping up in all of those areas, things up in those areas. Today, we announced at our company, every year we do an employee fundraiser. We've done it for decades with United Way. This year we asked employees from a social justice standpoint, what organization would you like to see us work with? In addition to the United Way, they said the ACLU, and we've partnered with the ACLU on this year's campaign. We just announced it today, and we're looking forward to great things and making a difference, making a change.
Now, one of the things that we've seen is a lot of brands reassessing how they go to market, like Uncle Ben's, Aunt Jemima, Cream of Wheat, the Washington Redskins. You own a brand called Aunt Jemima's, and that came through your Pinnacle.
Mrs. Butterworth.
Sorry, John. Mrs. Butterworth. And that was part of an acquisition of Pinnacle Foods a couple of years ago. And you've also looked at the packaging and reassessed that in light of the events of this summer. Can you tell us what you've done and how you are on that journey? Because you have stated publicly you're going to change the packaging and change the branding.
Yeah, well, thank you. And you're right. We've owned Mrs. Butterworth for a little less than 2 years, as you said. It was part of the Pinnacle Foods acquisition. Wasn't really a big brand for us. Wasn't a big area of focus. It's about $90 million in revenue, which is great. But compared to the other bigger brands and other business priorities, it's a small brand in our portfolio. So over the last few months, we've really taken the time to learn about the brand and learn about the brand's history. We've done a deep dive, thorough review because, Steve, our goal is never to offend. Our goal is to delight and nourish our consumers. So if there's ever a situation where there's a perception out there that is not making people feel good about our brand, well, we have to address it immediately, and that's precisely what we've done. We are making progress. I saw some of the plans last week. They look great. We will be making changes. I'm not ready to make any announcements today, but I will keep you posted. But I think that consumers will be pleased with the change.
Yeah, because I was looking through the archives, and it's not that long ago, 2009, I think, when there was actually a competition to find Mrs. Butterworth's first name. And, it was actually a PR activation. I know Kanye was referencing the brand in his lyrics. So it's amazing how things change. And there's also some affection for those brands. Even among Black consumers who actually kind of enjoy them. So it's a difficult balancing act to achieve, isn't it?
That's a very good point to bring up. Yes, and we've heard from consumers. Much of what our deep dive has been really talking directly with consumers. And you do have, it really is, you hear consumers on both sides saying they love it. They know that the bottle is not a real person. But again, if there's a misperception out there, we've got to correct it. And that's precisely what we're doing.
Yeah, for sure. And just to finish, John, tell us a bit about how the team's been operating, how you've been supporting your CEO, how you do, results, financial releases, and that sort of thing. How have you been? What's the practical nuts and bolts of how you've had to change the way you operate?
Well, I'll tell you, Steve, as Jerry Garcia once said, what a long, strange trip it's been.
I don't think he was talking about canned food, though.
I don't think he was talking about COVID. But I will tell you, it has. I think that for us, we have really had to adapt. We are a culture at Conagra that is so based on connectivity and collaboration in person. So to work remotely really threw us for a loop. But I am so pleased to say that this team's never run on all cylinders as well as it has over the past 7 months, and really making a difference. We've worked very, very closely with all of our senior leaders and our leadership throughout the whole organization. And we are seeing unprecedented demand, so we have to continue to make sure that we're keeping folks connected. We do have some people in the office, not on the communications team, but those who are closest to margin and growth management. We have about 30% of our employees have been working and never really stopped working in the office because it's so integral to the success of what they do. We have about 200 folks in Chicago, about 400 folks in Omaha, but we have internally, we've really stepped things up, Steve. We've had a continuous two-way dialogue, providing brand news, resources to help our teams, even psychologically during this time, reminders of what's coming, and also giving folks tips and tricks as to how they can better connect with each other. And we rely heavily on video and WebEx. I said to you earlier that our 15,000 frontline employees have been the real heroes. They are. And I'll tell you, other big heroes are our IT team. They have done a terrific job of keeping us connected at the organization. I also think, as you said, corporately, we've had to really adapt. I mean, this was the first time ever in my life, and I've been doing this now 30 years, we've had to do remote earnings. And it really went off without a hitch, which I'm very pleased to say. And we were able to do all the media. So we didn't really miss a beat with that. And that, again, is due to the technology and due to really being proactive in communicating and keeping everybody up to speed on everything that's going on, all of our key stakeholders. It's not for the faint of heart, but it is something that we know is part of our job. And
All
then...
right, well, great to see that, John, and keep up the good work. And we look forward to seeing what you're going to do with Mrs. Butterworth. Now, Friday session, I'm looking for something from the Clash or the Pistols, maybe, or Amy Winehouse, or even a John Cooper Clarke poem. What do you think?
That is a deal. All right, that is a deal. I promise you, I will do either the Clash, the Pistols, or John Cooper Clarke. We've gotten a lot of requests for the Clash. So, Steve, I'm going to give you some Clash this Friday.
Right, look out for it, listeners, viewers. Friday afternoon, John Harris, all over social media, easy to find. So looking forward to it. Thanks for spending some time with us, John.
Thank you. Stay safe and healthy, dear friend.
And you.